everybody, welcome back. It's Catherine from Jayne Catherine on Books, and today I'm going to do my review wrap-up video for all the books that I reviewed for January's release of new publications for the publishers via Net Galley. And so they're all new publications. So first of all, I started with Indecent Proposal. This is by Julia Ross. And this is Aria Press. This came out on the 1st of January. This is a what I would class as new adult now, because we've got this genre called new adult, and very much a lot of adult content, erotica, that sort of thing. I gave this 2 stars. This is a story that's narrated by 3 people. First of all, I'm trying to think of her name. Sarah. Sarah has been unlucky in love, and to get over a failed relationship, she moves to Switzerland to do some research over there for her to finish her PhD. While she's there, she meets 2 other guys called Oscar and Leo, and we enter into their backstories, and all that is leading up to an arranged weekend between the 3 of them to go to Barcelona for a sexual adventure weekend, shall we say. You know, a bit of rumpy pumpy in Spain. And so really the plot is, the backstory is how they got to be there, what their characterizations are. Then off they go to Barcelona in this menage a trois. And yes, if you're wanting you know, a little bit of romance and a lot of sex, I think this book would be okay for you. Quite graphic sexual scenes in here. We do have polyamory. Now, all that doesn't particularly offend me or upset me. What I particularly didn't like is that I felt that Sarah allowed herself to become objectified. Very intelligent woman, she's doing a PhD. Some of the decisions she made were a bit silly, I felt, for somebody so intelligent, and allowed herself to be used. Yeah, we all like you know, some nice sexual writing and a bit of erotica, but I think it's how it's written and how it's portrayed. I don't like it when women are objectified. So yeah, it was okay. I gave it 2 stars. The plot wasn't particularly thrilling. I've read better. Okay, so that's Indecent Proposal. Next, Death at Victoria Dock. This is Poison Pen Press, and this is Kerry Greenwood. I'm just looking at my notes here. Now, this is the series Miss Fine Fisher, if I'm saying Finerer. I'm not sure the correct spelling of her. This is a well-established cosy crime series, which has many followers. I don't know if this is something like the 18th or 19th book. And so this is the latest one, if you're following that series. I particularly didn't get on with it. I was looking forward to it because, as you know, I like my cosy crime, I like my historical cosy crime. Yes, sometimes it's always a bit tongue-in-cheek, but that's the beauty of it. I just couldn't get on with this character. After 2 chapters, I really tried to get on with her. I didn't feel any affinity with her at all, and therefore I think if you don't get on with the main protagonist in a cosy crime series, then it doesn't matter how great the plot is. I personally feel that you don't then engage. So I do have to say that after reading a few chapters, I DNF'd this. So the next one is Good Me, Bad Me. By Ali Bland. Well anticipated. I think it's had quite a lot of hype already. This only came out on, I'm trying to think what date, I'm just going to check what date I've got on here. 12th of January publication date, and it's got a fascinating cover. So it's a psychological thriller. You have to excuse me because I've written quite a lot here, I have to check. We've got Annie, who is a young girl who has been brought up by a mother who we find out has been, it sounds as if she's either a murderer or she's a child abuser. That sort of, I don't know if women are called paedophiles, I'm not sure. Paedophiles just as a male term. Probably so. But she's a nasty character. She's actually a nurse, so she's used that profession as an excuse to be able to be cruel to children. So Annie's been brought up in that environment. And it's called Good Me, Bad Me because Good Me knows that what her mother's doing is wrong. So she has decided to go and speak to somebody, go and let them know what's happening, and she is awaiting her mother's trial to give evidence at her mother's trial. So she's fostered out to this family of three, the mother, the father who's a psychologist, and their daughter who's probably a similar age, just a little bit older. I found this little bit quite flawed. It was well written, but I didn't like the characters of this family. They had major problems of their own. They weren't suitable foster parent for somebody like Annie who had gone through so much trauma. So that sort of subplot develops in how this family react and how Annie's treated in this new environment. She's got a new identity. I gave this 4 stars. 4.5 stars I've put here. Excellent writing. It's a debut novel. I think that this lady has got the promise of a very, very good career moving forward. I loved everything about it. It's well worth a read. You've got the suspense. We do see the court case, a little bit harrowing in places, with descriptions about what the mother's been up to. However, I think that was well done. And then we get a twist at the end. And so just took a little bit of a rating off there because of the subplots not going where I'd like. And perhaps a little bit more of a twist so that I didn't guess the ending. But excellent book, well worth getting. Okay, so next. You Belong to Me. This is by Mamoru Suzuki. So this was published, this is one going back to August last year. But this is a little children's book that they pushed in and asked if I would review. This is a lovely little book. Really enjoyed this. It was well illustrated. It's a book about love. Here's the classic of less is more. Each frame of the book, each page is not over cluttered. It's quite simple. The language is simple. It's got beautiful illustrations. They're really heartwarming, gives you a cosy hug feel to them, and it gives an important message about the importance of friendship and love, which is important to get across to our kids today. Well worth getting for yourself or for your children. It's lovely. Okay, next. Power of Breath. The Power of Breath, this is, I have to read a name out because it's difficult to pronounce. Swami Saradanda. I hope that's the correct way of saying. And this was published on the 17th of January. And this is really, it's a non-fiction. This is a book that is for healthcare. Well, it's for anybody that's got an interest in health and well-being, spirituality. So breathing has long been established as an important tool in health and well-being. You use it a lot in, obviously, anxiety and panic attacks to try and control our panic. It's great to dip in and out of, as I've said, especially valuable for teachers and followers of yoga. Anybody that's interested in it, doesn't have to be if you teach it or a health professional. Anybody, you'd find it a useful tool and useful to start doing some of the exercises. You can't beat really some meditation and calming, and we live in such a busy world, it's great to do that, I think, whenever we can. So I gave that 4 stars, well worth looking at. So now we'll go on to the next one, and this is Her Every Fear. So I've got an itch. Her Every Fear, which is the latest one by Peter Swanson. You will remember Peter Swanson from A Kind Worth Killing For, which I've already reviewed on here, where a couple meet in an airport and he gets talking about wanting to murder his wife, and this total stranger decides she's going to help him. Well, I did feel that there were many flaws with that, mainly that the subplots weren't really necessary, and I thought the second half of the book was totally disconnected from the first. I'm pleased to say that all the things that I had concerns about with his writing in that book, to me they were ironed out, they were sorted out in this book. Her Every Fear, published 19th of January. I'm just going to get my review up for you. I gave it 5 stars. Now I know that it's been reviewed by other people, probably slightly less, but what I've based it on is everything that I wanted from A Kind Worth Killing that wasn't there was delivered in this. So I've based it also in comparison to that, you know, his other books. Here, so we've got a lady called Kate Priddy, and she's an English woman. She's had quite a traumatic incident happened in her past, and she needs really to move forward with her life and find a new track, really. So she decides that she's going to swap apartments with her cousin. He's called Corbin. He lives in America, and so they do this apartment swap. He comes over to England, lives in her flat in London, and she goes over to America. It's a big thing for her because this traumatic event has made her quite an anxious person. So we'll then go to the backstories of both of them, so you can find out what the event is that's happened to Kate. But you also get the backstory of her cousin Corbin, and all isn't what it seems. Corbin isn't all what he seems. And there's also a third character in there who is a friend of Corbin's at university over in the UK. And yeah, they're not quite right, shall we say, the pair of them. Not quite honourable. So what happens while Kate's over in this apartment, as if the poor girl hasn't had enough with what's happened in the past, is there's been a murder next door. The girl next door's been found dead, and the finger is pointed at Corbin. Also, the finger's pointed at another resident there called Alan, who Kate, gets on well, starts to develop a friendship. And even Kate herself isn't beyond the realms of being incriminated in all this. I was hooked from the beginning. I felt that the suspense was kept throughout. The interest kept on throughout for me. The characters were very well written. Even those with small roles I felt were believable and they were necessary. They did add to the plot and the overall feel of the book. I didn't fully expect the ending. You sort of knew where it was going, but I'd got 1 or 2 people in mind. Yes, the ending sort of didn't surprise me, but it wasn't my first option for who I thought who done it, shall we say, or what ensued. I'd highly recommend this. I think that it's worth giving him another chance if you, like me, weren't all that keen on A Kind Worth Killing. It's worth giving him another chance. I think this is a good psychological thriller. I think he's developing into a really good author, and I'm looking forward to see what comes on in the future for him. So from me, it was a 5-star read. Next we had If This Is Home. If This Is Home, Christine Scarrow. Another 5-star reads for me. I really loved this. This was a YA. But, you know, with a lot of the YAs, I feel, because YA is quite a new genre for me to have got into last year, I feel that done very well, excellent adult stories too. There, especially in this one, there are a lot of issues, I feel, that are covered in here, and, you know, gives us all a bit of food for thought. We've got Jace, who is an older teenager, and is bullied a little bit at high school because they're just her and her mother and a younger sister at home. Her mother has got several jobs trying to keep the family together, but they don't have much money, and Jace can't keep up with her contemporaries. The mum becomes quite seriously ill, and it's no spoiler that you know, she becomes terminally ill. And what is Jace going to do about finding her father that has been long out of the picture, and how she's managed to make things right and look after her younger sister. The relationship between her and her younger sister is lovely, so we've got a lovely sibling relationship. We've got a lovely relationship between Jace and her mother, despite the fact that her mother is seriously ill. And also we have a friendship she develops with, we've got this sort of local boy that's got a really bad reputation. He's always truant from school, he's seen as a bit of a bad lad, but in reality there are true reasons behind this. Very much covers what it's like to be a child carer or a teenage carer. You know, there's many people all over the world, and we hear a lot about it in the UK, where, you know, young children and teenagers are the carers for their parents for whatever reason. So that's well covered in this. It makes you think about what's important in your life, and it makes you cherish the people that you have around you and you love, and to really cherish them while they're here. No point having regrets once they're gone. So, lovely story. Yes, there's sad parts in here, but, you know, positivity can win out in the end. So, well worth a try. I do feel you ought to read this one. It's gorgeous. So there we are. If This Is Home, Christine Scarrow.